important engagement.
Indeed, sir. Thank you. Mayor Emanuel, I'd like to talk about the relationship between the United States and Japan. As you know, we have a critically important economic relationship with Japan. In fact, Japan is the #1 investor in my home state of Tennessee, more than all the other nations combined, in fact. That's been a vital and critical relationship with my home state. But today, there exists a real impediment to that relationship. That has to do with the case of a U.S. citizen, a Tennessee citizen named Greg Kelly. And it's in our nation's interest to resolve this situation quickly. I'd like to go through the facts. Greg Kelly of Tennessee was arrested in Tokyo, Japan on November the 19th, 2018. Greg, a lawyer at Nissan, was charged by a Tokyo prosecutor with conspiring to underreport Carlos Ghosn's compensation as a Nissan director. Greg's defense attorneys plan to present their closing arguments next Wednesday, October 27th, 35 months after Greg was deceived into leaving his home in Tennessee and he was arrested in Japan. Let me underscore that. It's been 35 months to get to this point where his defense attorneys are actually able to close their case. For reasons that defy logic, a verdict is not expected until March of next year, 18 months after the trial began, and more than 3.5 years after Greg's trial, or after Greg was first detained. Here's the injustice. Impartial Japanese expert observers, including private corporate lawyer Keiko Ohara, have said that this matter should have been handled internally, not in a courtroom. Media reports indicate even Prime Minister Shinzo Abe held this view. Former Japanese prosecutor Nobu Gohara and criminal accounting specialist Yuji Hosono have publicly stated that Japan's judicial system has violated Greg's human rights and that there was no reason to arrest him because there was no criminal violation. Mr. Kelly's lawyers believe the evidence introduced at his trial made abundantly clear that no crime was committed. In reality, this was a coup by those within Nissan management who resisted further integration into the parent Renault. And they were willing to do anything to take down someone standing in their way. I've conveyed this concern directly to the cabinet level in Japan. I've let them know that America is the largest investor in Japan, that American executives see this as an issue that rightfully should have been resolved in a courtroom, not in a prosecutor's office. This is a terrible message to send to the rest of the world. It's bad for Japan's brand, and it's devastating to any American that happens to get caught in this system. With this type of justice system, I fear that American executives will start thinking twice about doing business in Japan. So here's the duty. Our embassy has a responsibility to protect U.S. citizens, to protect Mr. Kelly from this injustice. And Mayor Emanuel, if you're confirmed as ambassador, will you make it a matter of top priority to see that Mr. Kelly's name is cleared and he's returned to the United States as soon as possible?
Senator Hagerty, as you know, we've talked about this. The good news is there's Japanese media here, so I want them to hear exactly if I'm fortunate enough to have the support of this committee. I've already started to inquire about this, that I want to report on my desk, and you and I both know that if you start asking that, that goes from here to up here as a top priority.
Yes.
Number two, this is a constituent. I was a former congressman. I'm going to not treat this as a piece of business as being an ambassador. I'm going to treat this as what a former congressman would approach when a constituent is in trouble, and underscore what I think is an important point right now. Number one responsibility of an embassy and an ambassador is to make sure the safety and ensure the safety of a U.S. citizen on foreign soil. You have my word, as I said to you privately. I'm saying it publicly. Again, I'm not confirmed, and I hope I do get the confidence of this committee, but I know that the Japanese media is here so they can hear it directly. This is not just another piece of business to be checked off. I'm going to be approaching this subject as a former U.S. congressman who knows what it means when you have a constituent at heart.
Well, thank you very much. I intend to support your confirmation, and I appreciate your taking on this matter of critical interest to Tennesseans and to my constituent, but also a matter of critical national interest for our two nations. Thank you.